This is a content warning. The video accompanying the fourth piece of this show contains imagery of cruelty and abuse towards animals that some viewers may find disturbing. Please stay safe and remove yourself from the theater if you feel this may cause you any distress. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for coming. Just want to say a couple things about each piece before we begin truly. So that first piece that you heard, Hong Kong 2020-2021, is inspired by Christopher Button, who is a photographer based in Hong Kong. That is based off his photography exhibition called The Labyrinth. And basically, it's basically what's created through photography known as liminal spaces, where it's creating an eerie and uncanny feeling in spaces that look familiar, but they're not quite. They're just like on the precipice of being familiar and comfortable, but it's more uncomfortable. The next piece I'm going to introduce is Microtonal Preludes, and a little bit about that piece. Began late high school. Yeah, late high school, I discovered a Russian composer, Ivan Vintyagovsky, and basically in the 30s or 40s, he wrote a series of microtonal preludes for a microtonal keyboard, which basically had two keyboards stacked on top of each other, and then the second one was detuned. So he got this really cool soundscape produced. So the whole project itself, Microtonal Preludes, is still an ongoing project, and this first prelude, Larghissimo, is basically an homage to kind of that starting point of that. And if you guys will just help me welcome Dr. Young and Katie Ethington to the stage while they premiere Microtonal Preludes #1, Larghissimo. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the next piece, Three Settings for Birds. A little bit about the piece is growing up, I moved around a lot as a child, and every time I moved to a new state, I'd always make my parents get me a little bird catalog of the state that we lived in. And I've just always had a fascination with birds, so this piece gains a lot of inspiration from French composer Olivier Messiaen, 1930s, I believe. No, later than that, I'm sorry. But basically, he created a catalog of birds for piano, and this piece basically does that, but applies it to a mixed chamber ensemble that includes a narrator who actually does more of a storytelling. That's basically what this piece is. It's talking about different birds in different settings. So the first piece, or the first movement or setting, the backyard, is like a more suburban setting. Bunch of birds trying to live in peace and harmony, but doesn't always happen. The second setting, the seagull, is setting on like a desolate beach, and it's just a lone seagull that's out on its own. And then the third setting is a little bit more of a energetic, but also a little bit more of a depressing one. The third setting tells a story of the common loon, which is a bird that lives up in the Midwest of the United States. And there's a lot of transcribed loon calls in the piece. Narrator it's at first it seems like there's some joy to it, but eventually the loon does eventually perish, quite frankly. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce the next ensemble to the stage.
A lone bird calls. In the backyard, in the backyard, birds play, birds dance. But birds argue. Some birds become friends. But not always. Bye-bye, birdie. Cold and gray, it sits alone tonight. The scene calls. It is alone. It is alone. Oh, whoa. It cries, but danger lurks. It may, success may not. All it knows is to cry. It cried so hard. Blossomed anew. It became stronger than before. So it became became it. It became became it. It became became it. Became so. It became so it became.
right, so now's the moment we've all been waiting for. We got to consider the lobster, right? So, gonna give a lot of context. If you've read the program, you have seen the content warning by now, and I'll get to that in a second. So a little bit about the piece. So the inspiration for this piece comes from literature by the author David Foster Wallace. In 2004, the Gourmet Food magazine, they published his essay entitled Consider the Lobster. And it basically just recounts his experience at the Maine Lobster Festival in 2003. And the thing about Wallace is he's what was known as a maximalist writer. Basically, I think the essay itself is probably about 12 pages about just what the Lobster Festival is like. But about halfway through the essay, he talks about the ethics and the morality of meat consumption. So I was exposed to that essay in senior year of high school due to my English class. And last spring, we had a little mini winter break in the very beginning of January. I got bored one day. I'm like, okay, I've always been talking about how I want to use a DAW, or a digital audio workstation. So that was the project that birthed Consider the Lobster. Was like, I needed some sort of inspiration, and at that moment I thought of that essay, and I found a video of Wallace reading his essay. So after that, I wrote that in about 24 hours, give or take, and I was pretty content with that, and I decided, okay, I'm going to throw some electronic stuff on my recital. And then about 6 weeks before my recital this semester, I was like, I can do more than just play the electronics. And I've always had a fascination and an interest and appreciation for the visual arts, specifically a lot of contemporary art that really pushes the boundaries. So with the video that I created over these past 6 weeks, give or take, this is me kind of stepping my toes into the visual arts by creating accompanying video for Consider the Lobster to kind of just further push the point that the author intended from the essay. Now, again, the content warning, the clips and videos that I found are 100% real. They are taken from the meat, dairy, and egg industry, and just the various abuses and cruelty that animals are treated. And towards the end, it's a lot of unfiltered. And with that, I will leave you with that. So please enjoy and consider the lobster.
For practical purposes, everyone knows what a lobster is. Lobsters are basically giant sea insects. Cruel and unusual. Chewing fuel. Lobster meat has fewer calories, less cholesterol, and less saturated fat than chicken. Of course, the common practice of dipping the lobster meat in melted butter torpedoes all these happy fat bags. Cracking and showing the dribbling. The suppers come in styrofoam trays, and the soft drinks are iceless and flat, and the coffee is convenience store coffee is more styrofoam, and the utensils are plastic. There are none of the special long skinny forks for pushing out the tail meat, though a few stack diners bring their own. It's not for everyone. As an a la carte entree, lobster can be baked, broiled, steamed, grilled, sauteed, stir-fried, or microwaved. The commanded to keep them from tearing one another up under the stresses of captivity. A detail so obvious that most recipes don't even bother to mention is that each lobster is supposed to be alive and prepared to become. Is it possible that future generations will regard our present agribusiness and eating practices in much the same way we now view heroes, entertainments, or mindless experiments? The NLF begins to take on the aspect of something like a Roman circus or medieval torture fest. Does that comparison seem a bit much? If so, exactly why? Is it alright to boil a sentient creature alive just for our gustatory pleasure?
All right, so now I'm going to talk about the next piece. The next piece is also an ongoing project, short pieces for four horns. The concept of the piece is kind of in its name. It's an ongoing collection of horn quartets that I started writing, I think, my sophomore year of high school. The quartet that will be premiering today is the third one that I wrote here at my time at the University of Arkansas, and it is titled Rondo Natural. A little bit about it is, for those of us who are musicians, it takes the quintessential rondo form, but what's different is still a standard horn quartet, but what I've instructed all my players, and myself included, to do is that all of our horns are tuned differently. We're all basically playing in our own individual keys, and we're just kind of smashing them together like Legos. And that takes inspiration from Hungarian composer Zsuzsóri Ligeti with his Hamburg Concerto, one of his last works that he wrote before he passed away. Basically what he does is he has a chamber orchestra and he has a horn soloist using the horn I'm playing, but the horns in the orchestra, they're playing in all different kinds of keys, so he gets this cool harmonic spectrum of different tonalities and just all these different frequencies working and fighting against each other. So you guys will help me welcome the next ensemble to the stage and short pieces for four horns. All right, so we've come to the end of the program. It's a very short one, but before the final piece, I want to give a lot of thank yous. First and foremost is to my family, to both my parents that are here tonight, my brother who's probably tuning into the live stream right now, as well as all my uncles, aunts, and all that who are all watching the live stream. I also want to thank all my friends, new and old, from ones I've had since high school, Avery and Madeline, Connor, Ian, but then also all of my friends here that I made at the time at the University of Arkansas, many of whom have been performing with me tonight, but also many of you are in the audience or watching the live stream. The next round of thank yous I want to give is to my committee. Includes my professor, Mr. Ramos. It also includes Dr. Lukenbill and Dr. Brady, all of who agreed generously to take time out of their day to be part of my committee. And then I also want to thank all my teachers. My teachers range all the way from ones I've had since my freshman year, but then even some that extend all the way to high school that kind of really pursued me, that allowed me to pursue music, and that gave me that push to be where I am today. The primary thank you I want to give is to Dr. Mueller. Those of us in the music department know that Dr. Mueller passed away unexpectedly last semester. Dr. Mueller, I studied privately with him for 6 semesters, and when he passed away, it was a complete and utter blow to the gut. So that's why on the program we have purple lights, and everyone in my ensembles has been wearing purple, is just to honor Dr. Mueller, because he would have been very excited to hear this program. I know it. I also want to give a thank you to a lot of my current professors, including Mr. Ramos, but then also Dr. Allen, I've had him, Dr. Salonen. I also want to give an enormous thank you to Dr. Yankee. Dr. Yankee is the horn professor here at the University of Arkansas, and I've been studying with her for 3 going on 4 years now, and also ties into a little about our final piece called the 3 Bs. My freshman year, in the spring semester, Dr. Yankee gave her faculty recital, and on that included Richard Bissell's Song of a New World, which was commissioned by Sarah Willis. And those of us who are not horn players, Sarah Willis is basically like one of the big names of the Berlin Phil. But she commissioned Richard Bissell to write a piece for the horn, but she had a few requirements, so that had to be low horn and had to be jazzy. Dr. Yankee played that piece, and after I heard that piece, I was like, I want to do that. So that's what I've done. My freshman year, I wrote her this piece in a few months, and then I gave it to her, I think the start of sophomore year. And there was some like whispers, and like we talked about, like, okay, we'll find a time to program it, whether on one of her faculty recitals or a composition studio recital or something like that. And when I scheduled my senior composition recital here, I approached her like, hey, would you be interested premiering this? And she was like, sure. And I'm very glad that she agreed to this, because as a horn player, I purposely wrote very difficult music. And on our first rehearsal, like I said, like I looked at this, I'm like, I wrote you some like impossible and like evil stuff. But she is amazingly, like she has worked it out, and it's just a phenomenal piece. So if you guys will help me welcome Dr. Young and Dr. Yankee while they premiere the 3 Bs. All right, that's it. Y'all can go home.